Hi everybody, it's Julia, your trusted travel expert, helping you find that je ne sais quoi wherever you are in the world. And this is actually my second take at a whole Ireland spotlight. I'm in Ireland, and I did this video outside in the cold and the wind in front of the Titanic experience, but I hated the video. I rambled on, and I wanted to really give you a wonderful picture of Ireland because it's such an amazing place. It's a land of stories about fairies. It's unfortunately a land that was affected by famine. It's got so many contradictions. It's got such lovely, warm, fabulous, fun people, and they had the troubles for 30 years in this last century, fighting against each other. I mean, they're so they have ancient chieftains and 17th century castles, and it's got so much going for it. And to really understand Ireland, you really need to do your history homework, which is a tip I always like to give. So just really quick history of Ireland. It was populated since, thousands of years. There were the ancient Celtic tribes with all the different chieftains and the High King on the Hill of Tara and all of that. And then somewhere around, let's just blame Henry VIII, shall we? He really wanted to protect the back door of England, and so they had already England had already had their feet or tenterhooks into Ireland, and Henry VIII really kind of started accelerating that, really trying to take control of Ireland more and more, and that kind of kept increasing with subsequent monarchs. They started planting Irish or English settlers in Ireland. Kind of like what they did in the New World in the U.S. In fact, Derry and Dublin are both royal chartered cities that were plantation cities. And it was really thanks to good old Oliver Cromwell that really any hope of an independent Ireland back in those days was lost. He came through and just killed mercilessly and really started the persecution of the Catholics. Because, as you know, that was sort of during the Reformation, and Catholic versus Protestant was a really big deal back then. And so it also became a big deal in Ireland back then. Fast forward several hundred years, finally, all through the 1800s, like I said, there was the famine, there was the question of home rule, and, what does England do about Ireland? And frankly, Ireland, wanted to get out from under the thumb of the royal control from Great Britain. And so finally, they did gain a measure of independence in right around World War I, but unfortunately, they split the country. So imagine if we had had our Revolutionary War, we succeeded from, getting our independence from England, and then New England decided, you know what, no, we still really want to be part of England. We still want to be English subjects. We still think that we're British. That's basically what happened in Ireland. So you actually have two countries on this one little island. Northern Ireland is not exactly even its own. It is a country. They just played a soccer match. So in the World Cup, they have their own team. But it's not, it doesn't have its own government. It is like a Commonwealth, just like Wales and just like Scotland under Great Britain. And they use the pound, they use miles, but there's no border. It's literally just, if you look at a map of the island of Ireland, Northern Ireland is just this little part up here in the corner. That's all it is. It's and so that happened in about 1922. And they call that the partition. And then from then, the tensions, well, really, the persecution of Catholics continued. And so when America had our civil rights movement, Ireland started having their own civil rights movement, and that exploded into what is known as the Troubles. It was really only in Northern Ireland that this was an issue, because that was the originally Protestant majority part of Ireland. That's part of the reason why they wanted to, it's really that they are loyal to the crown. They consider themselves British, and they are known as Unionist because they want to stay in the Union of Great Britain, versus the Catholics, who mostly consider themselves Irish and would like to join the Republic of Ireland, and have a united country, or one island be united. And so that's really what the Troubles were all about. It was civil rights for the Catholics who were discriminated against, much like what we have in America. And luckily in 1998, they finally signed a peace treaty, and the violence really has stopped. And so, for the most part. And so Ireland is a wonderful place to come and visit. There are sort of 4 main areas that you kind of can consider visiting, because I've been here for 2 weeks and I haven't even gotten around to it all, just to give you an idea of how much there is to see and do. And I have been moving quite a bit, so there is so much. So, there's Dublin, which is the capital, which is right about there. That's the capital of the Republic of Ireland. Belfast, which is just a couple hours north of it, is the capital of Northern Ireland. And those are really cool cities with lots of things to do, cool museums. The Book of Kells and Trinity College is in Dublin. But you really come to Ireland for the countryside, all this other stuff. And so they have the tourist office has actually divided it into sort of different sections, and it's kind of helpful to think of it that way. You've got the I think they call it the sunny southeast, and this is really the most historic part of Ireland. Counties like, well, of course they're not even, the Wicklow and Wexford, and this is the part of Ireland that I entirely missed, so I didn't even get here. You've got the Wild Atlantic Way, which is basically the whole west coast, all the way up and down, up into the northern part of the Republic of Ireland, because only this part is Northern Ireland. And the Wild Atlantic Way is unbelievable. It's you could spend 3 weeks just driving it, or a month just driving it. It's just amazing. So it's sort of concentrated in the southeast, which is where you've got the Ring of Kerry, you've got the Dingle Peninsula, all of that. You've got County Clare, which is where you have the Cliffs of Moher. And a lot of the castles and stuff like that are around there. And just north of County Clare is Galway, which is such a cute little town. And that right there is the sweet spot for the Shannon Airport, which is another really good option for international arrivals besides Belfast and Dublin. You can also fly in and out of Shannon if you just want to hang out in the countryside, which I actually would recommend. It's an amazing part of the country. But then don't forget Northern Ireland, because besides Belfast, it's got the whole Antrim coast, which is the whole north coast of Ireland. It's unbelievable. As you may know, Game of Thrones, the big HBO show, films most of its studios in Belfast, right next to the Titanic Museum. And they do, therefore, a lot of their locations for all different parts of Westeros outside of Belfast. Mostly, a lot of it is up on that northern Antrim coast. It is stunning. And really, everywhere you go in Ireland, you're going to have fun pubs. There's been a bit of a food revolution in Ireland, and so it's not just potatoes and steak and Guinness pie kind of a thing, or lamb stew. You get lots of wonderful fresh seafood. I mean, I've had some really, really delicious meals. And then the other thing to consider when you're thinking about visiting Ireland is the weather. Now, I'm visiting in November, and it has been mostly dry, surprisingly. It has gotten chilly, but we mostly, at the beginning of my trip, we mostly had mostly sunny weather in the high 50s. This week it's been a little more in the mid 40s. It's been a little chilly this week. But really I've only had 1 or 2 completely wet days. And really only one of them was completely wet. So there's no bad weather. There's only bad clothing. So apparently, I say that because even in the summer, you can have wet and cold and rainy days. So as long as you come prepared with a good rain jacket, some good sturdy waterproof shoes that aren't going to get your feet wet, you can come to Ireland really any time of the year. And in fact, shoulder season, sort of May and October, are ideal because you get a price from the higher summer season and less crowds. So I hope that I've given you a little bit of insight into Ireland, the island of Ireland, in both Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and encourage you to come visit because it is super awesome. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.